Hi, and welcome back. I know we just entered December, but I think technically once we enter in late December, it's winter time, even though it's technically fall. But the weather's changing. We have our Christmas stuff up. It's the winter holiday season. So I'm here to give some winter book recommendations. We have new books, we have YA books, we have romance, we have romantasy, we have mystery and thriller, we have horror, we have nonfiction. We have so many books that we're going to go through today. That is the perfect time for the winter season. First up, we have some new books for this winter season. Most of these are coming out in January, some are coming out in December, so put these on your calendar. First, we have Winter, the Story of a Season. This one's a creative nonfiction book. This comes out January 13th. And basically, this is the authors talking about some of the stories in their winter lives, the sense of community, traditions during the winter season, memories from the winter season, reflections on traditions and things like that are happening in the season. So a nice new look on winter, and it's very much the vibes of winter. Next up, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, so please bear with me. We have a midnight pastry shop called Hawawoldang, maybe, I don't know. That's going to come out January 13th as well. Basically, a young woman inherits an enchanted bakery that spirits visit on their last stop before they get into the afterlife. So there's a lot of closure and family secrets and dealing with death and things like that during the holiday-ish kind of seasons. Next, we have the Time Hop Coffee Shop. That's a fun one to say. Greta had an amazing career. She was big in the television scene. She had big fame. She was a wonderful mom. She had a great marriage. And now her fame's dwindling, her marriage is falling apart, and her daughter's becoming distant. So she ends up going to the Time Hop Coffee Shop, where basically they are said to make your wishes come true. So she has a little sip of her coffee and wakes up the next morning in Mapleville, where everything's sunny, everything's bright, everything's happy, it's perfect, her life's back to being in fame or anything like that, and she wants to rewrite her own story. So then she has to deal with, does she want to go back to her real life, or does she want to stay in this perfect world? Next, we have the Mating Game that comes out December 2nd. This one's a little different from all the other books. It is dealing with werewolves. It's like a holiday romance werewolf book, but it's a little different because this time the female main character, female Omega Wolf, she blooms late, and then the male character is the wolf hunter. So that was interesting that the roles were kind of switched in this one, and it's set around the holiday season. So I don't know, if you liked Ali Hazelwood's one, maybe this could be it for you. I don't know. And last in this category, we have There's Always Next Year. This comes out December 2nd. This one follows two people. So you get one book, two characters. There's Andy. She wanted to reinvent herself New Year's Eve. She wanted to get out of the school girl, studious kind of thing and be the party girl. That doesn't happen for her. She ends up puking on her crush. I think she drops her phone in a toilet, so she destroys her phone. And then to top it all off, her car ends up getting stolen. So the next day, she's having to do some reconstruction kind of work. She's having to make things right than what she did the night before. Also, her family's shop is getting gentrified from a neighbor, so she's having to deal with that. And also now she has a fixation and a big crush on the girl next door. And then we follow Dominique, who is Andy's cousin, and he is this influencer who's about to get this big brand deal. And then he bumps into his ex best friend, who he's got some unresolved feelings with, so he's dealing with that. So might be some rekindling on that kind of road. I feel like the classics are so good to read during the winter season. I feel like most are set in the winter season, or a lot of the old timey books give winter vibes. So I've listed a few. There are many classics that could be read during the winter. Honestly, you could read any classic during the winter, and I think you would have a great time. But these are just a few that I picked. Any Charles Dickinson books, Emily Dickinson, those kind of ones, perfect for the winter. But we're going to start off with the number one classic winter book that, I'm sorry, but if you don't think this is your number one, then I don't know. It's Little Women by Louise May Alcott. It's the quintessential one. I know it's not technically always set in the wintertime. It's mostly set in the wintertime. But I mean, the whole trend online is to have a Little Women Christmas. I personally am having a Little Women Christmas. I'm trying to make all my stuff and make it all look nice and pretty and cute and handmade. And I love that. And I think that's great. If you haven't seen the movie or read the book or watched the show, You don't know what it's about? Well, we follow the March family during the like Civil War era of America and New England. They are dealing with the strugglings of that. And most of the sisters are getting married off or going about their careers in the woman working careers, like sewing and knitting or being a mom and all this housewife kind of stuff. And her younger sister is suddenly ill. Now we follow Jo, who's very different from all her sisters, wanting to be a writer. The relationship between her and her neighbor, top tier. Timmy Boy did a good job in that movie, I will say. Everyone worked in that movie. But we follow Jo, she's writing, and she figures out that she can make a living with writing. So that's kind of the gist of that. I think it's really cool that Louise May Alcott basically wrote about her own life, her own sisters, and how she wanted to end up writing. And she got famous off of that. So props to her. She did a great job. Love it. Amazing movie, amazing show. Winona Ryder's in the show. I think there's another show. I think there's 2 shows. So you can check those out if you are feeling the withdrawals from The Little Women. But amazing class. Next, I feel like I would get reamed over the coals if I didn't say this, but Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Very, very Christmas, holiday, winter time kind of vibes. If you haven't watched the movies, then I recommend you do that. Another one following a family, a group of siblings, where the youngest one, Lucy, ends up stumbling into this wardrobe and finding this whole other world on the other side called Narnia. And none of her siblings quite believe her until they walk through and basically their lives are changed forever. So next, we're getting into the mystery category of our classics, and that is The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I mean, this one you can't not read in the wintertime. A murder mystery on a train in like the snowy mountains, and a murder happens on the train. The detective has to find out the murder before more people get murdered. And it's a great whodunit. It's an amazing one with an amazing twist. If you don't want to read the books, watch the movie. It's a good movie. Next, I can't not put a Jane Austen book in the classics for winter. And I'm doing one that's probably not the most like Jane Austen book, but this is my personal favorite Jane Austen book, which is Emma. I absolutely love this book. I love the female relationship. I love the movie. Anya Taylor-Joy does such an amazing job as Emma. And Mia Goth's in it, amazing. I love the romance between the 2 main characters. I love that this girl thinks that she can control this town and be a matchmaker. And it doesn't end up going well for her. She ends up like destroying a lot of people's lives. But she makes up for it. She doesn't realize that what she's doing is what she wants, but she kind of puts it off like she doesn't want it. So I think it's a really beautifully written book. It does take place on Christmas and during the Christmas season, but it also takes place in the spring. So maybe read this on the outskirts of winter, kind of going into spring. And lastly, we have Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Mostly set in like the winter of New York City, but there is some summer in New York City because it takes place over a span of years. I mean, this book's got desire, it's got betrayal, it's got scandal. And back in the day, scandal was like the worst thing you'd have. Disease, forget about it. It was scandal. So our dude, Newland, is preparing to marry this woman until the mysterious like Countess Ellen returns from having a bad marriage and returns back to New York, and he like falls madly in love with her, and that's a scandal. So watch out. All right, now we're getting a little sensual with our romance category in the winter time. First up, we're gonna have One Day in December by Josie Silver. This one, love at first sight. She sees him, she's on the bus, she sees him at the bus stop. The bus driver drives off. She doesn't get to say hi to him. So she spends the whole entire year basically looking for this dude, going to the same bus stop, trying to figure out who this dude is. And then her best friend invites her to a Christmas party, and they stumble there, and she meets him there. And then, guess what? Her best friend's like, hey, this is my boyfriend. Oof. So then you spend basically following these 3 characters around for the rest of like 10 years of their life through like heartbreak and friendship and missed opportunities. And basically it's one day but Christmas, so buckle up for that storm. It's an emotional ride, that's for sure. Next is a YA romance called Love in Winter Wonderland. Trey is balancing school popularity and working at his family's bookshop called Wonderland, and Ariel needs to pay her tuition at this like prestigious art program that she's like her dream program. So she gets a job at Wonderland. They're working together, and these 2 basically have to team up to help save this bookshop from being gentrified by a neighborhood. Next, we have Always in December by Emily Stone. Josie ended up losing her parents one Christmas night, and so for the past few years, she's been writing them letters and on Christmas and getting them sent in the mailbox. But while she's taking her truck to the mailbox this year, she ends up colliding with this strange dude. He also does not like the holiday seasons. So they kind of end up spending the holiday seasons together, and maybe something sparks. I don't know. Next, we have 3 holidays and a wedding. Airplane seatmate Myram and Anna are both flying to Toronto. Myram's going to her sister's wedding, and Anya is going to meet her like wealthy boyfriend's family for the first time. And then like really bad turbulence hits because there's a storm coming in. And these two end up like confessing their like greatest fears and hopes and dreams to each other. Then they take an emergency landing and are stuck at some inn called like Snowfall's Inn. All the people on the plane ends up meeting like the love of her life, who was also on the plane, that hurt them, like spilling all their secrets and hopes together. So they kind of have that going. And then Anna ends up falling this like unexpected love with someone who's already in this town. So they're happy where they are more than where they were going to be. And lastly, we have Make the Season Bright. This follows 2 exes that end up finding themselves kind of stuck in the same house on Christmas. Both of their either friends or current partners brought them here to this Christmas getaway. One of the moms ends up kind of planning these Christmas dating events throughout this group. They kind of end up growing closer and sharing memories and thinking about the past and kind of rekindling their second chance romance. Next up, our category is fantasy and sci-fi, but make it winter wonderland. I know this book is like the most talked about whenever someone says, what's a good winter fantasy book? They always say The Bear and Nightingale. I'm also going to say The Bear and Nightingale. But I'm going to stream it a different way, okay? I'm going to say Shadow and Bone, okay? But instead of Grisha storytellings, it's Russian fairy tales and storytellings. Instead of the Darkling, there's Frost, who's like a blue-eyed demon guy. What more do you want? You got a weird stepmother girl who like basically doesn't like the new kids, and she's having to deal with that. And our main character, just like Alina, is having to basically save the world, save her family, protect her family, save this town, and she's having to reveal one of her like dangerous gifts that she's had to conceal for all these years, and all of a sudden now she's having to use it to save all these people. So, Grishaverse, but Christmas and bears. Next up, we have Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. This one, it's giving Krampus, but instead of a demon, it's just death. So Santa's like gone, missing, MIA. We don't know where he is. Susan is tasked to figure out what's going on, because if she doesn't, well, there might not be tomorrow for this town, because death is creeping down these people's chimneys, and Susan's got to work fast, because who knows what's going to happen if this person or thing ends up succeeding in what they want to do. Next, we have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, and if you've ever read Rumpelstiltskin or have seen Once Upon a Time, you'll understand when I start describing this book. Myron's father is basically putting his family in poverty, and Myron ends up taking up his job of money lending. She's doing a great job. She's almost perfect at it. But the problem is that it draws attention from the Dryac fairies, which ends up telling the king, and Myron can't stop making silver into gold. There's the Rumpelstiltskin thing. And at the same time, we have Irina, who's in the same city. She has become like the most attractive woman in this town because of this fey crown that she has on. And this ends up getting her dad to talk to the Tsar to get him to marry her. But the problem with this is that she's kind of, wishful thinking, because the Tsar ends up messing with like black art and black magic. He's rumored to be possessed, his soul's possessed by a demon. So, good luck, girl. Good luck, babe. Next, we have The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Here's our sci-fi kind of realm. A human ends up traveling and venturing to a winter planet where aliens basically don't go by a gender. Most of the time, they don't have one. And good for them. Probably makes it easy. He basically wants this planet to become part of the intergalactic civilization, but with their views and his views, it's not quite lining up. So he's having to come to terms with his beliefs, their beliefs, so maybe they can get this civilization going. Next, we have Leech, which is a like horror sci-fi thing. Basically, this is set in like the far north as north can be. So all the way up there, North Pole, Arctic Pole, very, very up there. There is this place called the Interprovincial Medical Institute that basically takes young people and makes them into doctors. They're supposed to be curing things. There's like a parasitic thing going on from the ancestors that they're supposed to be like curing and taking care of. And basically the Baron's doctor ends up dying. So they get this new doctor, and he's trying to figure out why he died, what's going on with this institute, why the institute lost like some of the bodies that they had in there. All right, Romantasy, that romance, the fantasy, the the winter, the icy locations. First, we have a YA romantasy that is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This one, a girl, Evangeline, finds out that the love of her life is marrying someone else, and so she wants to do anything in her power to get this not to happen. So she ends up making a deal with this like wicked prince who basically is like, yeah, I'll help you out, but I get to kiss you 3 times whenever I want, wherever I want. So, joke's on you. And she's like, say less. Who cares? Well, she finds out that after the first kiss that, this is a dangerous game she's playing with this prince, and that maybe this was not the deal that she should have made. Maybe she should just, like, I don't know, talk to the dude instead of doing all of this, but, what do I know? Next, we have Red Winter by Annette Marie. Amy is being hunted by these earth spirits that are basically targeted to kill her before she can become, like, a living host of a goddess. But one day, one of them, she ends up like saving his life. His name is Shori. And he is like in debt to her. He is willing to do anything for her. And she needs him because she needs him to like take him to this place where she can find an answer to one of her things. She trusts him. But the problem is that if he ever finds out who she is, he will kill her like on the spot. So we're dealing with that. It's not good. Next, another YA fantasy, The Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. If you love Pixie Hollow, you love Tinkerbell kind of stuff, this is the book for you if you haven't read it already. This is the origin story of the Queen of Pixie Hollow and the Lord of the Winter Woods. Ah, so cute. Clarion, a warm season fairy, wants to move up in the ranks and she wants to prove herself. So there's like a disturbance that's happening and she's like, I'm gonna go check it out. When she goes there, no monster. Who's there? Mallory, the young guardian of the Winter Woods. And they ended up like teaming up, working together to kind of save their worlds and help out the seasons. But they quickly find out why warm season fairies and winter fairies do not get together. Next, and please don't come for me, we have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I know this is a hit or miss. Some people really like this book, some people really don't. Some people think it's a little silly, some people don't, some people think it's overhyped. I understand, I get it, but I'm just leaving this in here because I think it's set wintertime. It's a good winter timed one. The world's building is all right, but I understand why some people don't like it. But it's got dragons, it's got spice, it's got different time kind of things. There's gods and goddesses and like elemental power. Some humans can wield these elemental powers and some cannot. They are called Null. The main character ends up framing herself as a Null to go and hunt someone, this target, and the big, brooding, mysterious main character guy ends up riding down a dragon, basically swooping in and like changing her path. So that's what you're into. You check that out. Next, we have Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw. Nora Walker is rumored to be a witch. She comes from a long line of witches. They kind of all like live in these like weird, magical, wintry woods. And Nora ends up finding Oliver in the woods. Now, here's what's going on with Oliver. Oliver went missing 2 weeks ago, and then a big snowstorm hit, so he should be dead. Everyone thinks he's dead, but she ends up finding him healthy as can be. So she's like, how are you alive? What's going on? How did this all happen? And then another boy ends up dying. So there's a lot of mystery going on, trying to figure out what's going on, how is he connected to it, what's with the woods and everything. Next category is for cozying up by the TV, the tree, a fire, getting some nice hot chocolate and reading some of these books. Next up we have It's the Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. You might know some of her other YA series, but this is an adult romance mystery kind of thing. Maggie is a cozy mystery writer and Ethan is a thriller writer, and they both do not like each other. They don't like each other's works, they don't like each other's personalities, they don't like each other, period. They both get an invitation to this like secluded English family famous mystery writer Christmas party called Eleanor, and they both get there and Eleanor suddenly goes missing from a locked room. So these two have to team up and kind of figure out this mystery, figure out what's going on and all that good stuff. So we'll see if they can figure this out. Next, we have the holiday switch. Lila is getting ready for her like last winter break from high school, so she's working at a local inn, and her boss's nephew, Teddy, ends up coming to work with her. And these two do not get along. They butt heads. I think it's because he has like a little crush on her, so he's like kind of, you know what boys do when they're young and they have like a crush on a girl and they like tease them and everything like that. Kind of that kind of thing. Although they both keep secrets from each other, and they soon find out each other's secrets because I think they end up accidentally phone swapping and like reading each other's stuff. Next, we have The Christmas Bookshop by Jeannie Colgan. Carmen is working at a department store, but it ends up closing, so she's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, what's going on, where she's going to take her next step. She could move back, go with her sister, but her sister has her own life, and they don't really get along too well. but she ends up deciding to go and work at their family's bookshop and kind of keep it from going under. And lastly, we have Shady Hollow. Shady Hollow is where woodland creatures live together in harmony until a toad gets murdered. How dare they? The local detective, Vera, who is a fox, has to come and solve the case. Can she do it? Who knows? Next up are just our wintery fiction books, just plain fiction, nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. And first we're going to start off with Beartown, which widely talked about. Beartown, small town, doomed to be forgotten, but the only thing that's keeping it not from being forgotten is their junior ice hockey team, who has made it into the semifinals at nationals. So there's a lot of pressure for these teenage boys to do well during this game so that their town will get put back on the map. I don't think it goes well. I think this game kind of sends the town into turmoil. It's having to do with community and secrets and things like that is going on in this town, in this wintry, icy town. Next, we have Small Things Like These. This is set in like 1985's small Irish town with weeks that are leading up to the Christmas. We are following Bill, who is a coal merchant, and this is like his busiest season because it's, wintertime. And he is on the way delivering something to the local convent. He makes a discovery that forces him to confront both his past and a town that is controlled by the church. Next, I will take any chance I can to talk about my favorite book ever. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I love this book. It's a favorite. I know it is the dark academia book. When people talk about dark academia, you have to mention this book because it literally kind of like spawned the kind of what we know now as dark academia. I know it's kind of a bigger book, and I know that a lot of people don't like Greek stuff, and there's a lot of Greek talk, but you get past all of that. The story is great. The writing's amazing. The plot point, the mystery of it all. You find out kind of very beginning who gets murdered, and your whole book you're trying to figure out how the murder happened and who did it. The main character moves from California to this like New England university. He ends up getting into this group because he finds like a sense of community. He ends up liking one of the people in there, and he's kind of going along with everything too, which, by the way, they think they can get away with like anything because they're like rich, spoiled kids, which just shows you the talk back on society and communities and academia in general is just chef's kiss in this. But we find that one night things gonna go awry, and for months on end they are reaping the consequences of it and trying to cover up what they did. And our main character, so many times you just want to tell him, dude, you can leave. You can leave. You don't have to deal with any of this. You could have left from the get-go. There were red flags everywhere, dude. You should have left. But he sticks there. So we have Snow Child, or The Snow Child. This is set in Alaska in the 1920s. Jack and Mabel have recently moved to this town, and their marriage is kind of on the fronts. They are not doing too hot. And so when the first snowfall hits, they end up making this snow child. And it's so cute. Well, no. The next day, Snow Child gone. But there is like a blonde young girl running around in the woods, and she basically is like the child of the woods. They are trying to come to terms on what she is, what's going on, but they accept her as like their own daughter. But not everything is as it seems in this like little area. So when they find out like the real thing about this girl, it kind of like transforms them. Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. This one, we're getting a little more historical fiction, Christmassy time. But we're following these two sisters, Meredith and Nina, who are the most opposite, different people that you could be. And they end up coming back together because their father ends up falling ill. They go and see their mom, which they do not have a great relationship with their mom. She was not a very like loving, caring mother. The father's promise and like deathbed kind of wish is that they listen and get retold the fairy tale they were told as kids, but till the very end. And come to find out that this fairy tale is about their mom's life growing up in like a war-stricken time and how she kind of is how she is and like family secrets. So interesting read set around the Christmas time. So a little bit of a sadder, darker one though. Next up, we have our horror and thriller category, which, if you still are in the Halloween mood or the weather has just not gotten colder, maybe this is what you want to read. But first, we're going to start off with Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I watched the show and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. This is really cool concept. But there's so many references to Stephen King. What is going on? It took me way too long, and I hate to admit this, to find out that was his son. Because I was like, this guy is ripping off Stephen King. It's his son. So anyway, what this book is about. You can follow the show too. I think the show is a little bit different than the book, but basically Victoria has this gift where she's able to like find things. She takes her little bike, it's like a motorcycle kind of bike, and drives and goes to this like covered bridge, like very like New England red covered bridge, and she drives through it, and basically she can go wherever she wants to go. And then we have Charles Talent, who takes kids basically in this like old car. The license plates are Nosferatu, and he is able to disappear from like normal town and take these kids to what he calls this amusement park area, Christmas Land. So Victoria ends up like messing around one day and ends up like discovering and finding Charles. He's not happy with that. She is the only person who's ever escaped him, so he obviously carries some bitter and revenge to her. She is now grown up, has her own son, and we all know that Charles is definitely coming after and seeking revenge and going to take her son. Next, we have Winter People. So in 1908, Sarah Harrison Shea her body was found behind her house in a field after, like a few months after her daughter's tragic death. And now, present time, Ruthie has moved in with her mom and her sister, and her mom has always wanted to live like off the grid. Suddenly her mom kind of goes missing, so Ruthie is trying to figure out what's going on, where'd she go. She ends up stumbling upon like a copy of Sarah's diary, and she's trying to not let history repeat itself. Next we have Dark Matter. This is set in like 1937 London. Jack, he's poor, he's desperate, he takes this opportunity to go on this like Arctic expedition. There's like 5 men, 8 huskies. They end up going to this Swedish, I think, like bay that is supposed to be uninhabited, and they're supposed to stay there for like a year on this expedition. The summer ends up going by pretty quick. The days are starting to get darker, and a lot of the companions of his ends up like leaving. They're like, I ain't doing this. So he's now tasked with, do I want to leave? Do I want to stay? And there's definitely something lurking in the dark, and it's definitely something there, and it definitely is inhabited. There's something there. Next, we have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. A reclusive writer, Lenora, is invited to this like getaway retreat weekend thing in the woods with a group of people, and she's very reluctant to go, but she finally decides up going. And when they get there, they kind of start to realize that maybe they're not alone in the woods. And lastly, in this category, we have Hidden in Snow. This follows a Stockholm police officer who basically wants to get away from her life, so she ends up going to her sister's Swedish ski resort, and while she's there, a local teen goes missing, and she just can't help but want to investigate. So she ends up kind of investigating. The local police station recruits her, puts her up with another detective. They only have like one clue. They're running out of time because there's like a storm coming that's gonna like wash away all evidence if she is, or like might even get killed in the snowstorm. So they're running out of time, and each clue they keep finding is like more sinister than the next, so they think something like really bad's going on. And lastly, to wrap up our winter recommendations video, is our nonfiction winter read. So first we have Winter in the World. This is basically how the author takes literature, religion, history, poetry, and kind of combines them to explain traditions and showing how seasons changed back then. This is all like medieval England time. Explores like festivals and customs and traditions and linked to different seasons, and how the human life is with the rhythm of the nature. And they even talk about how some traditions that are still in England are from these ones, or how they've changed, or how they've picked things from certain things to like move to things. So I think that's interesting to see where some things have come from, or what they used to do back in the day. Next, we have Jane Austen's bookshelf. This, I mean, you have to include Jane Austen in the winter's read because her books just kind of give the vibe. But this one basically introduces readers to the woman writers who inspire Jane Austen. And you're probably wondering, like, what? I thought Jane Austen was like, the only woman that was writing in her time, like, blah, blah. Well, the reason is because most of the writers who she got inspired by, all of their books have been like taken off shelves. So this person, this author, is going and researching all these books, finding the writers, finding the books, comparing them to Austen's work, where she's got inspo from, things like that, and kind of shedding a light on all these authors' names. Then we have A Year of Feastings and Festivities. Yes, this is a cookbook, but let me explain. Listen, you're making a lot of food during the holiday times. This is actually like an annual, yearly cookbook where it basically gives you a variety of food throughout all holidays and all seasons in the year. And not only is it giving you recipes that you can like go like, oh, it's this date, I'm gonna make this because this is what it says is, but it's also telling you like behind the scenes like stories on why certain foods are associated with certain holidays or seasons. And I think that's pretty cool. Next, we have How to Winter, which is basically like our psychological self meditation kind of book in this nonfiction section. It's a blend of like mindset science, original research, and like cultural insights for cultivating a positive wintertime mindset. I know this time of year people have seasonal depression, and some holidays are hard for some people because of certain things in their life. And this book is kind of like getting rid of those winter blues and trying to find the joy and comfort in the dark times that happen year round. Especially with the sun setting so early nowadays, people just get so depressed and sad and think, well, the day's over. I work all day and the day's over, and now I have to like go to bed. So I think this book is very good with that, experiencing how we can work through the winter times and make it a good thing and outlooks in life. And lastly, we have the Little Book of Cottagecore. If you are a girly pop in her crafty era right now, this book is for you. We're talking step-by-step guides and ideas for homemade decor, sewing, crocheting, needlework, baking, bread, like things like that, making your own candles, things that is from scratch kind of thing that you're like, I want to start doing this. I want to do this kind of thing. This book is perfect for you. I know I definitely am in my craft era. I'm trying to make all of my Christmas gifts. We'll see how that goes. I wish everyone a happy holiday season. I hope you pick up some of these books or put them on your Goodreads list to read later. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful holiday season.